What's going on, everyone? My name is KB from Learning How to with KB. Today, I want us to do the 2018 CAD matric past paper, mainly focusing on the spreadsheet question, which is question 3. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Okay, it says I'm gonna ignore the first part which says note blah blah blah. So let's move on to question 3.1. It says change the vertical alignment of row 1 to center. So I've already opened my spreadsheet here. So it says change the vertical alignment of row 1 to center. So what you do is you select the entire row 1, which I have done by clicking here on 1, and then you go to the alignment group to change the alignment to center. And as you can see, it is already on center alignment, so that's 1 mark for free for us. Yeah. So let's do the second question. Let's do the second question. Second question says insert the function NK3 to determine the average selling price of all the art pieces sold. So we want the average of the all art pieces sold in K3. That's where we are going to be calculating it. So here are the sales of the art pieces. Am I right? Let's check again. Insert a function in K3 to determine the average selling price of all art pieces sold, column G. Okay, yeah, so the art pieces sold here in column G, but we are working in K3, cell K3. So this is cell K3. We want the average of all the art pieces sold. The average. So we're gonna click on average, double click on average. Remember, we start with an equal sign and then average. I'm not explaining this because I know you guys already know it. And without wasting any time, we are going to column G and highlighting, or rather selecting, the entire data or data G3 to G43, and then closing the bracket, and then pressing enter. So we have our average. That was easy, I hope, for everyone. And guys, I will post the files under the description, so you can also practice on your own, or you can practice together with me. You can just pause the video and do the question on your own, and then replay it later just to compare the answers. Okay, and I will be posting more videos on other subjects as well. I'm still waiting for equipment to help me to do the videos properly. Okay, let's move on to the third question. The third question says insert a Countifs function. So they are telling us insert a Countifs function in cell K4. So we are working in cell K4. Let me just note it down so that I don't forget. We are working in cell K4 to determine the number of art pieces sold in 30 days. Sold in 30 days or less. And that's column F. Okay. And sold for more than, I'm just gonna write greater than 2000, and that's column G. Okay, so let's move to the spreadsheet. Remember, we are using Countifs, meaning that we have more than one criteria. So let me move to cell K4. This is cell K4. Okay, so we are using Countifs as the question has specified. Double click And so the first criteria says that sold in 30 days or less. Sold in 30 days or less. So we have the days in column F. We have the days in column F. So we are selecting our range first. Select our criteria range 1, which I have F3 to F43, which is column F. Okay, after selecting our criteria range 1, we have to specify the criteria. Remember, we have selected the criteria range. Now we have to specify the criteria according to the question. So the first thing that we do when we are specifying a criteria is that we have to open quotations. Now let's look at the criteria. Let me go back to the question so that you guys can see. It says to determine the number of art pieces sold in 30 days or less. So our first criteria is 30 days or less. And guys, when you are using the less than and equal sign, you must always start with the less than or equal or greater than sign, because if you start with an equal sign, it's going to give you an error. So in this case, the question says sold in less than or equal to 30 days. Less than is always on your left. Less than or equal to 30 days. Close quotation, don't forget. So we are done with our first criteria. We have started with the criteria range, and then we have specified the criteria according to the question. Now we put our semicolon. And guys, take note, different PCs have different ways of doing this formula. Some use a semicolon, some use a colon. Depends on your PC. So let's move to the second range. Now the second range, okay, let's move to the question so that I don't get it wrong. It says and sold for an amount of more than 2,000. An amount more than 2,000. So we are working in cell, or should I say column G. Column G. So we are selecting the whole of column G, not the whole of column G, but column G until G43. Okay, so we have selected our criteria range. Now we are left with the criteria. The criteria says that it has to be greater than 2,000. So remember, quotation, greater than 2,000. You don't have to include the rand sign, or you can include it, it's up to you, but you don't have to include it. And then you close your parenthesis or your bracket, and then you press enter, and then we pray that it's the correct answer. Yay, we got it. And guys, you can always make sure to you can verify your answer. That's the word that I was looking for. For example, the question said that insert a countif function in K4 to determine the number of art pieces sold in 30 days or less. So in 30 days or less. So let's highlight 30 days or less in column F. 30 days or less. I want to show you something. 30 days or less. We're going to use conditional formatting. Between 30, or should I say 31 and 0. So it's going to highlight everything that's between 31 and 0, which is equals to 30 or less. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5. So our answer is correct. And also you can also check if the selling price is greater than 2000, as the question has specified. So the first one, greater than 2000, greater than 2000, greater than 2000. So we are definitely correct. We can celebrate now. Yeah, we got our marks. And then now let's move on to the next question, which is 3.4. 3.4 says insert a function in cell K4. I'm going to write it down because I forget easily. In K5, they don't tell us what function, they just say insert a function. How, guys? Why don't you tell us? But anyway, they say insert a function in cell K5 to determine the total value. So you want the total value of all art pieces sold. You can also write it down if you want. As pieces sold, that's column G. For experience code 1, and that's column D. So guys, whenever you see the word total value, what should come into your mind is the sum function. But in this case, we are dealing with more than one criteria, so we have to use the Sumifs function. And I think we can also use the Sumif function, but just to be safe, we can use the ifs function because they work in the same way. Just that Sumifs is when you're having more than one criteria, but you can also use it for one criteria as well, just like the Sumif. Okay, so let's go to the spreadsheet. They say we are working in cell K5. What we do, as always, equal sign, and we said we are using the Sumifs. Okay, let's move back to the question so that we can understand it properly. Insert a function in cell K5 to determine the total value of all the art pieces sold for experience code 1. So we want the total value of all the art pieces sold, but for experience code 1. So we shouldn't include experience code 3, 2 and all. We should only include 1. So we want the sum of the total value of all the art pieces sold for experience code 1. That's tricky, but it's also easy. Let's start with the sum range. It's also like the Countifs, because the formula to calculate it is pretty much the same. First, we have to have the sum range. So let's start with experience code. Let's select the entire experience code. Okay, selected it, we have done that. And now the criteria says that it has to be for experience code 1, quotation, and then 1, close quotation. We are done with sum range 1 and the criteria 1, which is 1. What a coincidence. Okay, so let's move to the criteria range 2. The criteria range 2 is the selling price. Yeah. Selling price. In this case, we don't really have a criteria because the question specified that. Let me show you guys. The question said insert a function in cell K5 to determine the total value of all the art pieces sold for experience code 1. So for the selling price, we don't really have a criteria. The criteria has to be for the experience code, which is 1. So what we do now is to close our parenthesis or bracket, and then we pray as always. But you don't have to pray if you know that you're right. But let me not be so sure and pray. And then we push enter. Let's see. There's a problem with this formula. We forgot to include what did we forget to include? Oh my. Because we have included the first criteria. Sumifs criteria 2. I don't see anything wrong. Let me try it one more time. What does it say? Okay. Or let me try it this way. Okay. Sumifs. So guys, we don't give up, we keep on trying until we get it right. Okay. We said column G. Let's start with column G this time. Column G doesn't have any criteria. And then let's move on to column D. Column D has a criteria, which is 1, but first we have to select the entire data in column D, and then we can include the criteria. And then quotation 1, close quotation, close parenthesis, enter. Here we go, we got it this time. So what we had to do is that we had to start with column G and then come to column D and then specify the criteria. Okay, so we got it correct. Let's go and look at the next question. And guys, don't give up. You also saw that I didn't give up. I kept on trying until I got it right. I'm not perfect myself, so yeah, we are all not perfect, we are all learning. So don't give up, keep on trying until you get it right. Let's look at the next question, which is 3.5. 3.5 says each art piece must have a selling code. So let me write it down. each art piece selling code. So insert a combination of functions in cell H3 to create the code as follows. Excuse me. So we have to insert a combination of functions, which means more than one function. So the code has to be as follows. Has to start with the artist's surname, which is in column B. Okay, artist surname in column B, followed by the first 2 letters of the artist's name, column A, and then followed by a random or random or random three digit number. Okay, I got it. So let's go to the spreadsheet. We are on the spreadsheet, so we are working in cell H3. As usual, we start with an equal sign, and then they said that our code has to start with the artist surname. So let's move to column B and select the surname, which is Albert's. And after the artist surname, we have to have the first two letters of what? The first two letters of the artist's name in column A. Okay, first two letters. What we have to do now is that we have to press and, not plus, because plus is used when you are dealing with numbers. So because we are combining words and numbers, we use and, because if you use plus, it's going to give you an error. So we say and followed by the first two letters of the artist's name. First two letters. When it says first, you have to think of left, and when it says last, you think of right, because left is on the start and right is on the last. So it says the first two letters of the artist's name. Am I right? Of the artist's name. So left, it says text. We have included the text, which is A3, and then semicolon, it says first two. In this case, we don't include the quotation because it's not a criteria. As you can see, it's not a criteria. It's written num, is it nyam chas or something, but it's not a criteria. And then we close it. So we are done with the second part of the question. We have included the artist's surname followed by the first two letters of the name, and then followed by a random. So we have to include and again. Random. I hope you know the rand between. In this case, I want us to use the rand between function because the question specified that the digit has to be a 3-digit code. Yeah, did it say 3-digit? We can verify. 3-digit number. Yeah, okay, 3-digit number. So you can include any random number that has 3-digit. Of course, you can write it manually because it's gonna take you the entire time. So we can write 100, or you can even choose 200. It's your choice. 100 and 999, because these are 3-digit numbers. And then you close your parentheses. And then you hit enter, and then we pray again, and then we push enter. This time we got it right. Yay! So we need to autofill the whole information to the rest of the cells. So the easy way to autofill is to come at the corner here until you see this black icon, and then just double click, and then it's gonna autofill 1 2, and then it's gonna autofill as you see here. So we are done with this question. And also you can also use the concatenate function if you want, but I feel like this was the easier method because it allows you to follow the question as it asks. Okay, so let's do the, are we done? No, we're not done. We're done with this part. Let's see if there's the, oh, okay, we have 3.6. So 3.6 says work in chat, in the chat worksheet. Okay, work in the chat worksheet. Forgive me guys if I'm a bit sloppy or sluggish or whatever, because I'm tired and it's like 12 a.m. right now in the morning. But yeah, let me finish this question and then we will be done. So yeah, let's read the question. It says change the chat in the worksheet to appear as shown below. So it says insert data labels. So that's the first one. Insert data or data labels for the amounts of each code. Ignore the position of the data labels. Remember guys, you should be also trying it out on your own. You can pause the video and do it and then continue just to match your answers with mine or to compare them. Remove the legend. Set the major access units to 10,000. Then the last one says fill only the back wall of the chart with any color of your choice. Any color. Okay, so we're done. Okay, so are we done with everything? Okay, so let's move to the chart worksheet. The first thing that we have to do according to the question is to insert data labels for the amounts of each code and ignore the position of the data labels. So we come here to the chart elements, or you want to call it the plus or add icon. Okay, and it says insert the data labels. Insert the data labels. So we're going to enable data labels. So as you can see, the data labels are the numbers that are appearing here, and the question says ignore the position of the data label, so you don't have to move them. Okay, so we are done with the first one. So the second part says remove the legend. Now what is a legend? A legend is usually called a key. It helps you to read the graph well. So in this case we have only one color, which is green, so it's not really necessary because a key helps you to read the graph, especially when you are dealing with different colors. So in this case we only have green. As you can see, series 1, which is green, it's not really necessary because it's only one color. So the question says remove the legend. You just have to disable it here. Oh, disable it, it's no longer showing. Okay, so we're also done with the second one, done with the second part. And then okay, I want to close this part. Okay, the third one says that set the major axis unit to 10,000. So this is the major axis, the y-axis. We have to set it to 10,000 units. So the question means that it has to have an increment of 10,000. So from 0 it has to move to 10, and then 20, 30, and so on. So how do we do that? We just double click on the graph, double click anywhere on the graph, and then you will see this format data series menu, and then we select this drop down menu and we go to the y-axis, vertical axis. Okay, and then we move to the axis option, and then axis option, I think, yeah, we got it. So it says set the major axis units to 10,000. So now it's at 5,000. You have to set it to 10,000 and then press enter. Okay, so let's check it. So now it's in 10,000 increments. Okay, so from 10, 20, 30 and so on. I'm so tired, guys, but we are almost done. Hang in there, guys, hang in there. I will be uploading more videos, guys, in English and also CAD and also maths as well. So please subscribe, guys, to my channel and also share it with your friends. And I also leave my contact details, my email and WhatsApp if you need any assistance. Okay, what was the question saying? I almost forgot. It says fill only the back wall of the chart with any color. Okay, this one is so easy. Fill only the back wall of the chart with any color. So you just choose. Okay, let me move back. What I did is I double clicked anywhere on the graph. You can just double click anywhere on the graph until the menu shows like the previous question. So yeah, it says wall options. If it didn't show the wall options, you were going to select the wall. So it wants the back wall to be changed, so we have to fill it with any color of your choice. So we come here where it says fill and we come to color, select color and we choose any color of your choice. I'm gonna select blue and then we are done. So that's it, guys. So what we have to do now, since we are done with this question, we have to compare it with the graph on the question, since it says that change the chart in the worksheet to appear as shown below. So as we can see, we have your data labels, and there is no legend, and the y-axis are in an increment of 10, so from 10, 20, 30 and so on, and the back wall is also in a different color or in gray or whatever, but it's also in a color. So yeah, we are done with the last question. So you see, guys, it's pretty much easy. Actually, it's very easy to score total in Excel, in the Excel part of the matric question paper. In fact, in all of the other sections. So in the next videos, I will complete the question and then we will also do the other subjects as well. So from me to you guys, I'd like to say good night because I'm about to sleep right now. As I told you, it's about 12:30 right now. So wait, it's 11. Yeah, it's 11, 11:30. So yeah, I'm so tired right now. I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe and yeah, share the channel with your friends as well. Thank you.